3, 2, 1, boom. What say you?
You hardly ever ask me that. So when you do, it just shocks me.
I tell you what kind of quiche did you order me yesterday? I mean, that was good.
Yeah,
It was more than
andouille
just good.
sausage, whatever. Yeah, you were eating it. You ate it like it was your job.
Yeah, but DK's back there with, I don't know how much quiche, but I haven't had a plate of it.
Well, you'll get some. Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
Don't be
what,
greedy.
What if they tried to take it before our show's over? I mean, that's I don't know
Good
if I need to
point.
run over there and get it right now or what. I mean, it
No,
smells so good.
you have plenty.
Yeah, this is my emergency food. Anytime that you're doing a show, this is what you turn to, my friend. This is what you turn to. Donuts, yes. Donuts are good. This is what brings world peace if everyone were cooking
That's
chocolate
true.
donuts with Bavarian cream.
Yeah,
Bavarian cream is very, very healthy.
we need world peace.
Yeah, it brings love into your life. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very good.
Amen, brother. Preach on.
Okay, here we are. Our setup is crazy, but we're not worried about it. We're just wanting to talk to you for a few minutes, and we are reading the comments.
Yeah,
And
we're so
thanks.
excited. We're live.
Yeah, we're live again. It's weird to be on the amazing world of YouTube. And so we had the Latter-day Saints. They actually were the ones who said, you're using footage that you should not use. And we actually sourced everything and did all the right things according to all the rules.
Yeah, even according to YouTube.
Yeah, and YouTube said you've done nothing wrong. They made a claim, and they don't even own the footage. The people who own the footage says it's fine to use it.
Right.
And so we have permission from the people who own the footage. The people who don't own the footage, they zing us because of the content, because the content was actually questioning, putting on the table the question whether God is good.
Right.
Because, when the Jews went through what they went through, wow, it was a very telling time. God was ordering, things like this. If a person rapes a young virgin, he can simply pay 50 shekels to the rape victim's father, and the person raped has to marry the father. I mean, that's sick.
Yeah, but I don't know why people pin that on God, though.
Well, that's a good point.
Right, Daryl.
But so many people claim that the Bible is the Word of God, and that's tragic. Okay, go ahead, Daryl.
Did you say he has to marry the father?
I
Well,
probably
that's
did.
cool.
I mean, I haven't eaten my donut. Yeah, that would be the better rule.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Oh, that's funny.
That's
Yeah.
the way it was supposed to be written. They misunderstood God.
Exactly right. See, people, love is love.
The story goes, this guy who raped this young virgin, he gets to marry, or actually, the rape victim has to marry the rapist in this context, and this is found in the Torah. And you have many things like, that throughout the Torah. And so, the question would be, in this movie, challenging the morality of God and the disposition of God would be, does God like us or does he hate us? That's a good question.
Yeah, sometimes for those that do believe in God, they say, they even say to themselves, like Jesus said on the cross, "Why have you forsaken me?"
Right.
And they feel very forsook by God. And I can look around in our world today, and if I have that attitude and I took it and it's easy to do, I'll be honest with you, I'll say it doesn't seem like there's somebody that knows what they're doing in control of anything.
I agree. One of the things that we have today, we have so many people in church life teaching that if I don't give my life to sweet Jesus, and think about this, if I don't give my life to sweet Jesus, somehow God's going to put me, in this eternal torture chamber. And some people call it hell, some people call it the lake of fire or whatever. But I'm going to be tortured forever in that place that he prepared for people who would reject him. And it's very much like a rapist, again, the rapist says, love me or I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to you. And so in this same scenario, we have at First Baptist Church this morning, serve me or turn to me or burn.
Yeah.
It's a mentality that says there's only one way, friend, and it's through Jesus Christ and Him crucified. But when you think about that story, I want you to think about the story. The story is God sent His Son to have His Son beaten beyond recognition and tortured to death because the Father couldn't find it within Himself to look at the rest of His created children and forgive them? I mean, is that the way that we need to promote forgiveness toward our grandkids? I mean,
no.
which one of our kids are we going to kill or have tortured beyond recognition so we can find it within our heart to forgive, our children or someone else? And so it's in that kind of penal substitutionary doctrine that I find, lots and lots of craziness. And so we would have to ask the question, yes, in the context of Christianity, does the Christian God love us? Does the God of Judaism, does that God love us? And I would have to argue, not really. I think He loves Himself because we have to be completely covered by the blood of Jesus in order for Him to accept us. In other words, we have to be a perfect mirror of Himself because He can't accept us for who we are. And I think this has caused a great divide.
Yeah.
And so when you can't accept your children for who they are, you've got some mental issues. And
Sure.
So does
Can you
God-
imagine all the children that Daryl and Tina have?
Oh, my
that if they
goodness.
didn't accept them,
What-
I mean, they have so many children.
Okay, be honest, Daryl. Have you ever sat down and tried to calculate how many children you actually have?
I try not to think about it because when I do, I think, did I forget somebody? And if I do, man, that makes me feel bad.
I do see Daryl. I do see Daryl.
Oh, yeah, this one.
Right.
I forgot all about them, that's a terrible problem.
Okay.
I'm so glad that Daryl and Tina aren't like the God of the Bible toward their children.
I agree.
mean, because
But let's
they're
start.
awesome.
Let's start with the premise of their family. They know something about breeding that we don't. I mean, when we bred, we turned out a few, but I mean, Daryl and Tina, you guys turned out multitudes. I mean, what was really going on?
I don't know anything about breeding. This just happened. I don't know how, I don't know why, but, we just kind of went along with it and are still enjoying it. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, and you know what? The amazing thing is Daryl's children. I was talking to his wife Tina this morning, and I said, one of the best fields for your family to ever have gotten in is the nursing field, medicine and nursing and compassion, and that's who they are. So it was natural for them to want to do that. And
I think I know why they did it. They saw us eating donuts,
They
and
wanted
they
to help
said
us.
those people need some medical help. Yeah.
we do need some medical attention. Oh, well.
Oh, that's
I
good.
like donuts pretty well myself.
Well, the question would be, we eat more donuts than you, so did this stop, the breeding?
Well, I don't know. This morning I had a cinnamon and raisin bake and with cream cheese on it. I don't know if that does one thing or the other, really, to be honest with you, but, maybe that is the difference. Who knows?
Okay,
Maybe God knows. We'll ask Him.
yeah,
We'll ask.
okay. Now, some of you guys may feel like we're against God. We're not simply raising questions in which Judaism put forth as God or Christianity put forward as God. We're simply trying to say that we as human beings have a right, I would argue a civil right, but we have a right, that is personally to question what has been told us in the name of God. So many people are trying to claim that, if you don't get saved, you're going to burn forever or whatever. That notion is crazy, and yet so many people believe that if you don't accept sweet Jesus and His blood, I mean, this is all about someone being tortured beyond recognition and crucified. And this is why I think the Apostle Paul was right. He said, had they known the wisdom of God, they would have never crucified Him. And so even the Apostle Paul agrees with me. Crucifixion, that stuff was fucked up.
Or, whoa, F-bomb dropped. F-bomb has
People
been
know what
dropped.
fucked up means.
Well, honey,
it's not just a
I know,
bomb.
they know-
Sometimes,
they know what
okay,
it
words
is.
have
All
usage,
right.
not inherent
I know
meaning.
that.
When I
I'm not
say
an
fucked
idiot.
in that sense, that's a good word.
Oh, thank
That's
you.
like saying praise Jesus. Fucked
Is
up.
it?
I mean,
Okay.
yeah, come on,
No
praise
more sugar
Jesus.
for you.
No more
you know,
sugar. Oh, the
diabetic.
chocolate donut did it to me this
It's like a
morning.
kid
Yes,
that has
yeah.
ADHD, like
you go.
our nephew. And you can't. You got to
Throw me
stop
on
it
the
in
bus.
its tracks, or it just gets off the rail.
I was going to start testifying, start
Yeah.
preaching.
Well, I might
I
do
have
the
a
same
witness.
thing.
Yeah,
Do you have a witness?
I've got a witness deep in my heart.
We,
yeah.
we just have come across so many people hurt by the message that they're not good enough.
Right,
They're not allowed to. They're not supposed to be.
right.
And we just don't believe that. We believe everybody is allowed to. Everybody's supposed to be. Everybody's, good enough. And,
The bottom line is we believe in unconditional love and
Yes,
acceptance. In
exactly.
other words, I don't care who you are. You may not agree with us. We just love the hell out of you.
That's right.
And
That's
we
right.
accept you for who you are.
And we really
sweet
expect you to
Jesus and
love
God
us.
can't get along with us for that. We love His created children.
yeah, so are
But
we
what
better?
okay, what if God doesn't exist? Well, we don't give a shit, right?
Well,
So, 2
right,
words.
whatever. We're still having to get along on this planet. If he does, if he doesn't, it's really, to me, no matter, because why don't we just focus on each other and try to get along? Gee, like I always say in the words of that marvelous philosopher, Rodney King, why can't we all just get along? Truer words have never been spoken.
Rodney.
That's right. Truer words have never been spoken. God is,
I think we need to raise some funds to put, that scene somewhere in the courthouse.
yeah, exactly.
It-
Well, I
it-
tell you what,
I
that
mean,
reminds me.
There's always a clash, and it typically fuels this us versus them mentality. Now, in a civil society, you need this versus that conversations. You need that. But when it becomes us versus them,
Right.
and this is where
Right.
so many people
Right.
feel put down and disparaged, because so many people feel like, it's not a discussion anymore about this versus that, because you happen to think that all of what you say is the truth, and what I have to say is just nonsense. And
Right.
so, we've got to take a different pathway. We have to become compassionate. We have to become humanist. We have to become people who really can empathize with others, because until you pick up someone else's glasses, and I'll pick up several of my glasses and make all kinds of noise doing so. But some people, what they see day in and day out isn't like what I see. And these things got bent somehow. I guess we were breeding. But that's fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, we weren't. But I'm simply saying that we have to pick up this thing to develop that is within the context of my own character. We have to be willing to look at things through someone else's vantage point. So many different cultures, so many different people around the world, they don't look at the same set of facts the way that I do.
Right.
And this is why, if we would become multi-axial and learn that people have brains and the manner in which the brain is hardwired, we all, when we sense X, Y, or Z, when we're at, let's say, an event, our brains are going to interpret that data. And our brains are not hardwired to use the same hermeneutic. That is, the same method of an interpretation is not used.
Right.
Hence, we are people of diversity. Until we can accept one another as people of diversity, each of us are always interpreting the data differently. It's not the same. It's not the same. It may be
Right.
just a slight nuance, but
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah.
And so my point is,
That's true.
until we can accept who we are as human beings, so many people think that we all need to have the same belief sets. I don't agree with that. Some people see this as that way, and some people see other things in a completely different environment. And so, I don't know.
Excuse me.
Some people are calling. You've got to go. Okay, Daryl, back to you. We're talking about breeding. What stopped you from breeding?
I think nature itself. I think just the process and just quit happening is all I know.
Right.
It's good enough for me.
Okay, is it expensive to have over 200 children?
Not really. You just find ways to take care of it all. No one always advantages it.
Okay, hold on. You say you just find ways of taking care of 200 plus children?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
they don't get all the things they want, but I can look at just one good example, and I'm very proud of all my kids and what they've accomplished. And each one of them has accomplished something meaningful, and they haven't even they've just begun as far as I'm concerned. But one in particular decided that he wanted to be a musician, an accomplished pianist. He wanted to be a nurse, and he's done both with just a little help and support from us. And when I say a little, it's just encouragement and a place to live, and what we could manage, and that was enough. And so, and instead of having something handed to him on a silver platter, he had to fight for it. He had to do a lot to get there. So he has a great appreciation and a great ability to move forward on his own. He goes places I could never go. Just and it's wonderful. I'm not trying to sell the idea of having a bunch of children, but being as I do, I look at it as something that worked well for us, and the results that we're seeing, we're enjoying. And I tell people all the time, if you got one, if you got two, that's fantastic. Make the best of it. And we've tried. I'm not saying that we've succeeded in every way, but I think we have had some success, and it's very enjoyable.
Have you ever so loved all of your children in this sense? You took one of them, the best of your children, what you considered the best of your children. Have you sent them to be beaten beyond recognition and then crucified so you could forgive the rest of your children?
Yeah, only once. I only had to do that once. And
That's crazy.
No, I've never even considered doing such a thing.
Okay.
And it wasn't until really, I began to consider things like that I began to doubt that, not that there's a God, but that there's a God that would be like that.
Right.
I had to put that into question and say, what would be the need? My kids, none of them are perfect, and I've had issues with them, and some of them were of my own fault, and some possibly was theirs, or at least sometimes it was just differences, and I had to get over that. But it's never been to the point to where I felt like something needed to be sacrificed in order for me to forgive them. And I know I don't consider myself to be better than whatever God might be like. I'd rather think that I have, if there's something there, if there's someone there, that it's someone I can aspire to, not try to downgrade to its level.
Right. I've told the story over and over again, but I think it's true. When you tell your kids to go out in the backyard, do anything that you want to do, but don't swing on the clothesline, what do you think they're going to do? And when you read the story of Adam and Eve, they're told to go into this garden, do anything that you want to, but don't partake of this particular tree, because if you do, you're going to know right from wrong. What's the deal? You don't want me to know right from wrong? It's like, I don't want you to have any sense of morality on your own. And so all of a sudden we find this God of the Bible actually throwing people into the context of death. And some people call that good, some people call that righteous. But to judge all of humanity based upon the act of one individual, to broad stroke them, reminds me of what people do when they become racist. They think that if one individual of a certain color is a certain way, all people of a certain color must be that way. And that's so tragic, and this is the thing that we're facing today. We need to face some cold, hard facts and try to find a way of lifting the conversation out of the mud so we can transcend, in a sense, where we've been in past conversations and all of that. Because I think that humanity needs a better sense of self-acceptance. We need to learn that we have value that we have never been told about, So many times when you go to church, it's like, yeah, you're wicked, you're wretched, you're worthless. And it's only because of the other guy. He makes you worthy and righteous. What if it's not true? What if the best thing that you can find in life is when you find value, namely within yourself, and simply because someone else can't see it, they've got the problem. Don't let what other people think about you define who you are. When you do that, it's going to shackle you in a sense. It's going to place you in bondage. And so, yes, it's true today that so many people in their rhetoric, they're disparaging this one and that one. But I say, don't let them own you. In other words, tell them to off. That's the best message that I have for today. And I think a compassionist is one who is willing to love unconditionally and accept people unconditionally, but they are not accepting what the other people say necessarily. In other words, I can love someone without accepting their rhetoric about me. And when people start condemning me, as so many religious people do, and atheists do as well, I would have to say I'm not going to accept that kind of condemnation. I'm simply going to, look at the facts and do my best to look at the facts and comprehend what's going on. But yet at the same time, I need to be willing to put on someone else's pair of glasses and say, I'd like to explore where you are as well. Because I think this is how we build bridges. We don't need to be building walls and taking those lines that divide us and making them wider. We need to be taking these big erasers and erasing the lines that divide us. Those are just my thoughts. And by the way, we're out of time, Daryl. Final thoughts.
Yeah, I'd like to just share briefly an epiphany or a magic moment. What is that moment that I've had recently? Has everything to do with the discussion this morning. I sat next to my very musical son. As far as my knowledge of music, my ability in music, he makes me look like I don't know anything. And we witnessed a piece of music being performed, very specific piece of music, and he'd never heard it before. But at the end of it, he leaned over to me and he said, "This was worth coming here for, just that 1 3-minute piece of music." And he said, "That is the first non-vocal, no words, piece of music that has ever brought me to tears." The title is Fanfare with a Common Man. And I don't know if it was the intention of the author when he wrote the piece to use the term common, but that can be thought of in two different ways. Common meaning ordinary, nothing special, or it can mean that which is in common. And the theme to me is a very uniting idea. And the music itself, the fact that it's a fanfare, this is to more or less really announce, the common man. And to me, that's where it's at. We are, if we're a human being, then we have much in common with one another. And that's what should be the fanfare. That should be the theme. And, I think this idea that we've had, this notion that is so popular about God, that he's here and the rest of us are, have to somehow aspire to that to be worth anything is nonsense. I think the idea of finding our common ground and starting there, that doesn't mean we stop there. That's the beginning point, realizing, you're just as important as I am, and you have something to contribute here, big or small. And we need to grasp that. We need to find that in one another. If we discover God along the way, fine. If we don't, well, then I think we've done something that needed to be done.
Exactly. That's the way. That's awesome. Yeah.
That is good. That is good. What are your final thoughts?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. After Daryl said that, I think that's it. That's
That's it.
great.
Okay, dearly beloved, we're out of here. Bye-bye.
All right. See you next week. Thanks for
Bye-bye.
tuning in.